We're continuing our session this evening in Shaarei Baal Shem Tov, and we're up to Shaar Beis, the second Shaar. And here the Rebbe writes as follows: a beautiful section called Lichios im Hashgachas Hashem, to literally live with divine providence. The Rebbe says as follows: In Shum Mikra Ba'olam, there's nothing happenstance in this world. Kol ma shekore ba'olam ad leprat achi katan vatnu achi ktano hu b'hashgacha pratis shel Hashem yisbarach. Everything that happens in this world, from the biggest action to the smallest action, only happens with divine providence. Lahashlim es hakavana ha'alyona shel habriya kula. There's a plan. The Baal has a master plan, and everything that happens in this world is part of that master plan. From the smallest detail to the biggest one, from the biggest list, so everything is part of the divine master plan. V'chol ma she'adam ro'eh shomeh, everything that a person sees or a person hears, gam hu b'hashgachas Hashem. This is also part of divine providence. So what the Rebbe is pointing out over here is everything that happens in the world is part of the Rebbe Shalom's greater plan. And therefore everything that occurs, the big things, the small things, everything somehow in its own way is part of that ultimate hashgacha, part of that ultimate divine providence. Everything you see, everything you hear. He says, Bekavana la'azor lo, l'kaim es shlichuso ba'olam. Everything you see, everything you hear, everything you experience is there in order to allow you, to help you fulfill your shlichus, to help you fulfill your agency in this world. And everything we see, everything we hear, everything we experience is incredible. Is to teach me, is to somehow help me in my shlichus, in my divine agency, and also to teach me something which can make me a stronger person. And again, somehow everything I see, everything I hear, everything I experience, number one, as we said before, helps me to fulfill my shlichus. Number two, teaches me something about myself, and in some way allows me to strengthen some element of who and what I am. Lilmod eze mida tova, or to learn some type of positive character trait, or lahalos nitzotsos bazeh, or lefarsim elokus ba'osamakom shusham, and ultimately the halos nitzotsos is the Hasidic term, literally again for lifting up the sparks. There are sparks of holiness, sparks of kedusha everywhere. Just sometimes the kedusha is obscured, is covered by what we call klipos, shells. And when a Jew self-actualizes, does something beautiful, does something good, he removes the klipos, removes the shells, and allows the sparks of holiness to ascend heavenward. So this is really an incredible idea. So part one that the Baal Shem Tov is espousing is that the world, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a master plan, and everything in this world is part of that master plan. Everything big or small is somehow part of the plan of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Nothing's random. Everything happens b'hashgachas Hashem. Hashgacha pratis means divine providence. Every single event is orchestrated and choreographed by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But not only that, on a personal level, everything I hear, everything I see, everything I experience, everything I live through is A, to help me with my shlichus, to somehow help me with my life agency, my life mission. B, is to help me ultimately, again, learn some midah tova, to learn something, to either inculcate within myself some type of positive trait or to help me fix something that is broken. Afilu here, hurei tshuva, sheish l'cha adam b'ay me'Hashem, even when a person has thoughts of tshuva. So first of all, just that part that the Rebbe just said is so astounding, that everything we go through in life is there. There's nothing random. If you see it, you hear it, you experience it, it's because HaKadosh Baruch Hu needs me to learn something from it, either because it's going to help me fulfill my agency, or because it's going to teach me something about myself, either to discover a strength that I didn't know that I had, or to highlight something that is broken that needs to be fixed. Incredible. Can you imagine going through life with this type of lens, where everything you go through, everything you live through, everything you experience, somehow, some way is there to help me with my shlichos, to cultivate positive traits, or to help me fix something that is broken. The Rebbe says, even tshuva, even thoughts of tshuva, thoughts of change, those come from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ki kol yom hu shaleach bas kol la'olam, shekori la'adam la'shuv el Hashem. Every day the Rebbe Shalom calls out to man to return. Every day he calls out to man to return. And that's called v'heim here, hurei tshuva she'adam margish b'libo. Sometimes a person gets a desire in their heart to do tshuva. Where does that desire come from? The Rebbe posits that comes from Hashem, because every day, b'chol yom, bas kol yotzei v'omeres, of divine, like the Gemara says, a divine voice comes forth and says, Shuvu banim shovavim, Return, wayward children. Every day Hashem is asking us to return. And so sometimes in my heart, when I just feel a spark to do tshuva, I feel a spark to be different. Where does that spark come from? Where does that desire come? It comes from Hashem. Everything comes from Hashem. The same way that when our ancestors were in the desert, there were 42 stops in their journey in the desert. Over the 40 years that we were in the desert, there were 42 stops. And again, and again, those stops were not random. In each of those stops, there was something to accomplish. There was something to do, something to be. The same is true by every person. So this is incredible. The Rebbe says the same way that our ancestors had 42 stops in their 40-year sojourn in the desert, the Rebbe says every person has 42 stops, 42 stages, 42 chapters of life. And in each of those stops, he says, and at every stop and every stage, you have to introspect. You have to look, to examine the stop, examine the stage. What's my avoda? What am I supposed to do at this stage? What am I supposed to learn? What am I supposed to fix? What am I supposed to discover? How does this help me in my shlichus? But again, all part of this same yesod, that if you believe in Hashgachas Hashem, if you believe in divine providence, that means nothing is random. And all the things I go through, all the things I experience are there again, either to help me to discover what my agency with my shlichus is, to help me discover strengths that I did not know that I had, or to help me fix something that has been broken until now. And we have 42 stages, 42 stops, 42 chapters in life. And at every stage, at every point in the journey, I have to stop, I have to introspect, and I have to reflect. Yesh. Maftichos Musyamim Shemasra al Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh L'Talmidav She'ozrin La'adam La'havin Mahi Ha'ora Shel Hashem Mitoch Hashgacha Pratis. Now, of course, the challenging part is how do you do this? So remember again, as I mentioned in the first Shaar, the way the Sefer is set up is that first the we'll call it like the fundamental spiritual or theological pillars of the Baal Shem Tov are spelled out, and then we'll go back to each of those pillars and expound upon them. Because of course, to say this is beautiful and to learn this is beautiful, but how do you do it? Right? In the different stages of life, in the 42 journeys, so how do you stop and introspect? How do you learn? How is it that you unlock the secrets, the potential, the lessons of each journey? He says, so he writes over here that the Baal Shem Tov gave his Talmidim, he gave his students the keys to unlock the meaning at every stage of the journey. When a person knows that the Ribono Shel Olam is everywhere, meaning that there's Hashgacha Pratis, everything is from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the Ribono Shel Olam again is hidden, embedded in everything in this world, in everything, in every place. And even again in times when I feel distant, in times when I feel shut out, in times when I feel that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has turned his back on me, or I've turned my back on myself, or the world has turned its back on me. Even in those difficult times. But again, I recognize that the difficult times are also part of the 42 journeys. The difficult times are also part of the various journeys and stages of life. And again, both the good times and the bad times and the difficult times have the same mission. Discover how this helps me with my shlichus, with my agency, figure out what strength this could show me I have, and figure out perhaps what this is highlighting that is broken inside of me that needs to be fixed. And this is the same formula for every situation in life, the pleasant and the difficult. And I believe that even therefore, and by the way, therefore because of this, I believe that even in the difficult times of life, somehow, some way, they're for my good. Somehow, some way, there's something positive, because it's either going to help me with my shlichos, it's going to help me discover certain kohos, or it's going to go ahead and help me identify something that is broken that needs to be fixed. He goes on, and through this you could come closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you bring sweetness to the difficult times. Because the truth is, the Yid understands that the greatest sweetness in life is finding meaning in life. And finding meaning in all circumstances, not just the pleasant ones. That's what ultimately brings meaning. So when I can unlock the deeper meaning ultimately in my life, when I could unlock at the end of the day, again, what every one of the journeys does for me over the course of my life, then even the difficult journeys become sweet. Because even the difficult journeys, I'm able to see again how they help me with my shlichus, how they help me to discover my strengths, and how somehow they identified or helped me to identify things that are broken inside me that need to be fixed. So suddenly, even most overwhelming, difficult, and grueling circumstances in life become latova, become for good. And that's you come close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When you see the good and you see the positive in every single life circumstance because you're able to grow from it, that creates a level of closeness to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Kol chesron sheyesh la'adam yesh lo ladas, shu be'emes chesron m'shchina, u'kashu mevin ez zeh, u'mispala lahashlim es chesron ha'shchina hu ose yichud gadol. So this is actually a very beautiful piece that Rebbe says over here. Actually, you know what, we'll save this for the next time, Hashem. But again, the Rebbe really highlighting this idea. This is why the title of the section is Lichos im Hashgachas Hashem. To live with the concept of divine providence, to live with Hashgacha Pratis. The Ribono Shel Olam choreographs the entire world. Every event, big or small, all comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Every event, the good and the difficult, is there to teach me one of three things. Again, what's my shlichus? What's my agency? Help me discover strengths that I wouldn't have discovered without these circumstances, or help me to identify things that are broken that need to be fixed. This is true in pleasant times, it's true in difficult times, and especially in difficult times when a person discovers this and utilizes difficult and overwhelming circumstances in this way, that creates what the Rebbe calls, you find the hamtaka, you find the sweetness, even in the bitterness of certain life circumstances, that creates an unparalleled sense of closeness to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That creates this sense of living with Ribono Shel Olam, not just believing in Hashem, because that's really what the Rebbe is saying. The goal is not to just believe in Hashem. Of course, we all have to believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We all do believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's not the goal. I mean, that is the goal, but there's something even higher. What's higher than believing in Hashem? Living with Hashem. Lichios im hashgachas Hashem. Belief in HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a wonderful start, but ultimately what we aspire to more than anything is the ability to live with HaKadosh Baruch Hu day in and day out, both in the times of difficulty as well as in challenging times. Okay, well, so we'll stop over here for today. Have a wonderful evening.